Have you ever wondered why two simple words spoken by Jesus over 2,000 years ago still hold the power to completely transform your life today? What if I told you that these two words, I am, contain the entire secret to healing, abundance, and spiritual freedom, but most of us have been misunderstanding them our entire lives? Has this ever happened to you? You've prayed fervently for healing, for financial breakthrough, for resolution to a seemingly impossible situation, only to feel like your prayers are hitting a ceiling, bouncing back unanswered. You're not alone. Millions of spiritual seekers experience this frustration daily, and there's a profound reason why. What Joel Goldsmith discovered, after decades of spiritual exploration, is nothing short of revolutionary. When Jesus declared, I am the way, the truth, and the life, or I am the resurrection, he wasn't making claims about his special status. He was revealing the ultimate truth about your identity, your consciousness, and your relationship with the infinite. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the globe. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely overturn everything you've been taught about: spirituality, prayer, and your relationship with the divine. For centuries, we've been conditioned to view God as something separate from ourselves, a distant power we must petition, plead with, or somehow convinced to help us in our time of need. We've been taught to look outside ourselves for salvation, healing, and abundance. But what if the greatest spiritual teacher in history was trying to show us something entirely different? The revelation of I am shatters this limitation completely. God isn't something you reach for. God is the very I that you are. This isn't blasphemy. It's the core teaching that mystics across traditions have discovered, often at great personal cost. When you truly grasp this fundamental truth, your entire experience begins to shift, not because you're doing more spiritual practices, but because you're finally understanding what has always been true. What you're about to discover might surprise you. This isn't about positive thinking or manifestation techniques. It's about a radical shift in identity, a recognition of what you already are beneath the layers of conditioning and false identification. When Jesus said, I am, he was pointing to the divine consciousness that is your true nature, the same consciousness that performed what we call miracles. Now imagine what might begin to happen in your life when you stop identifying with your problems and start recognizing your true identity as the infinite expressing itself uniquely as you. Think about how your experience of illness, financial lack, relationship struggles, all of it could transform when you understand what Jesus meant when he said, I am. This revelation isn't just another spiritual concept. It's a complete paradigm shift that begins to transform every aspect of your existence once you truly grasp it. If you resonated with the profound truth of I am consciousness, subscribe to join our community of spiritual seekers exploring these timeless teachings that transform lives from the inside out. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because understanding the true nature of I am is the key that unlocks the doorway to profound inner transformation. What Joel Goldsmith discovered through years of spiritual practice and healing work was revolutionary. I am isn't a statement about your human self at all. It's not referring to your personality, your history, your circumstances, or even your physical body. The I am is the infinite presence, expressing as you right now. Can you feel the difference? When you say I am with genuine spiritual awareness, you're not speaking as a limited person with problems to solve. You're speaking as consciousness itself, recognizing your true identity as the divine expressing uniquely through your individualized form. This revelation changes everything about your spiritual journey. Rather than seeing yourself as a human struggling to become more spiritual, you begin to recognize that you are spirit, expressing temporarily as human. The wave doesn't need to become the ocean. It already is the ocean expressing as a wave. But here's where most of us get caught in a hidden trap that keeps us locked in limitation. Think about how you use these two powerful words throughout your day. I am tired, I am broke, I am sick, I am stressed, I am afraid. Every time you attach I am to a limiting condition, you're giving power to illusion. You're identifying the infinite with the finite. This is the root of all suffering, not what happens to you, but what you claim I am is. Jesus demonstrated this profound mindset shift in every aspect of his ministry. Notice that he never said, I am sick, or I am lacking, or I am unable. Instead, he declared with absolute conviction, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the light of the world. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Do you see the revelation here? He wasn't making theological statements. He was identifying with the infinite, not with temporary conditions. And he was showing us exactly how to do the same. The decisions we make about our identity determine the experiences we have. Most of us have been making these decisions unconsciously, repeating patterns of limitation simply because we never realized there was another way. But once this hidden truth is revealed, you begin to witness the impact of your I am statements on every aspect of your existence. Your journey of awakening to this consciousness doesn't require you to add anything to yourself. You're not becoming something new. You're uncovering what has always been true beneath the illusions you've accepted. This is why spiritual masters throughout history have described enlightenment not as gaining something, but as a process of removing the veils that hide your true nature. What revelations might emerge in your life when you begin to use I am only with truth, with what is eternal and unchanging? What might shift when you stop saying, I am sick, and instead recognize I am is perfect wholeness? If this perspective is beginning to resonate with you in some way, type I am awakening in the comments below. Now let's explore how this understanding transforms every aspect of our daily experience. And here's where Joel Goldsmith's insight goes even deeper than most spiritual teachings you may have encountered before. A revelation that few teachers have fully articulated. The profound truth that Joel discovered is that the I am presence isn't something you need to create, develop, or achieve through spiritual practice. It already is. This insight completely shifts the spiritual journey from one of becoming to one of unveiling. You don't need to become the I am through years of meditation or prayer. You simply stop identifying with what you are not. Think about the radical implications of this revelation. Every problem, every limitation, every struggle in your life exists for one reason only. You've forgotten that the I that you are is God expressing. Not will be someday after enough spiritual practice. Not can potentially become if you're worthy enough. But already is, right now, in this very moment. This understanding completely transforms your approach to the spiritual path. Most of us have been operating on a mindset of lack, believing we need to add something to ourselves to become complete, whole, or spiritually evolved. But what if the journey isn't about addition at all? What if it's about subtraction, removing the false identifications that obscure your true nature? Behind the scenes of most spiritual traditions is this hidden truth. Enlightenment isn't gaining something new. It's recognizing what has always been present. Your true nature is like the sun, always shining, even when clouds temporarily obscure it. The spiritual journey isn't about creating sunlight. It's about dissolving the clouds. Now we can understand the profound difference between the approach Jesus demonstrated and what most modern spiritual teachings offer. Most teachings give you something to do, visualize, affirm, manifest, decree, declare. These practices all have value, but they operate from an implicit assumption that what you're seeking isn't already present. Jesus revealed something far more powerful, a state of being rather than a technique of doing. I am is not an action. It's a recognition. This distinction completely reframes your spiritual practice. Consider the difference. Affirmations. Try to make something true from a place of perceived absence. I am wealthy when you feel poor. I am healthy when you feel sick. There's an inherent contradiction, a subtle resistance in the very effort to affirm what seems absent. Recognition, however, comes from wholeness, acknowledging what has always been present beneath appearances. One approach struggles, the other rests. One seeks, the other realizes. One operates from effort, the other from grace. When you shift from affirmation to recognition, everything changes. You're no longer trying to get things from God. You're realizing that God is already the substance of your being, expressing as your experience. You're not working to manifest health. You're recognizing that the I am of your being is perfect wholeness, regardless of temporary physical appearances. This perspective isn't denying what appears in your experience. It's seeing beyond appearances to what is eternally true. If these ideas are beginning to illuminate something within you, type, "I recognize my true nature," in the comments below. Now let's explore how this recognition begins to transform not just our perspective, but our actual lived experience. Let me share something truly revolutionary about Joel Goldsmith's understanding that completely reframes how we approach healing and transformation. At the core of this teaching is a profound insight. Healing isn't about changing conditions, it's about changing identity. When you truly know yourself as the I am, the infinite presence, conditions have no choice but to align with that truth. This isn't magical thinking, it's spiritual law operating at the level of consciousness itself. Think about it this way: you don't heal the body. You recognize that the I of your being was never sick in the first place. The I am that you are is perfect, whole, complete. The body may show symptoms, yes, but those symptoms don't belong to your true identity. You don't create abundance. You recognize that the I am is infinite supply by its very nature. This recognition shifts your entire relationship with the manifest world. The breakthrough moment comes when you realize that you've been approaching your problems backwards. You've been trying to fix conditions while maintaining a false identity. But when you correct the identity, conditions naturally realign. This isn't denial, it's seeing through to what's eternally true beneath temporary appearances. Let me share a powerful real-world example that illustrates this principle in action. A woman named Margaret came to Joel Goldsmith after suffering with chronic pain for 7 years. She'd tried everything. Doctors found nothing wrong. She'd explored every treatment, every therapy, every healing method available. Nothing worked. She was desperate, exhausted, and ready to give up hope entirely. What Joel did next reveals the revolutionary nature of this approach. He didn't pray for her. He didn't treat her condition. He didn't give her affirmations or visualizations to practice. He simply asked her one penetrating question: who is the I that says I am in pain? Margaret was confused at first. I am, she said. I'm the one suffering. But Joel pressed deeper. Is the I am you speak of capable of pain? Can infinite spirit hurt? Can God suffer? She sat in silence for nearly 20 minutes as this question worked in her consciousness. Then something shifted. A genuine awakening. She realized she'd been identifying her true self, the I am, with a body and its sensations. The pain didn't belong to the I that she was. It belonged to a false sense of identity that she had accepted as herself. This realization wasn't intellectual. It was an actual shift in consciousness. Within 3 weeks, her pain began to diminish. Within 2 months, it was completely gone. Not because she fought it, not because she tried harder, but because she stopped claiming it as her identity. This story reveals the hidden mechanism behind true healing. The transformation didn't happen because Margaret changed something in her body. It happened because she changed her fundamental sense of who she was. The false identification dissolved, and the true identity, the I am, was allowed to express its perfect nature. If you've ever experienced a moment where you glimpsed your true nature beyond your problems, type "I glimpsed the truth" in the comments. Now let's explore how this same principle applies to every area of our lives. Let me share another powerful story that demonstrates how this principle works in the realm of business and financial prosperity. A businessman named Robert came to Joel Goldsmith when his company was on the edge of bankruptcy. He was drowning in debt, watching everything he'd built crumble before his eyes. Every morning he'd wake up thinking, "I am failing, I am losing everything." His prayers were desperate pleas for God to save his business, to send customers, to provide a miracle from outside himself. Subscribe to continue this journey of spiritual awakening with us as we explore the revolutionary insights that Joel Goldsmith and other mystics have discovered about your true identity. The revelation Robert encountered changed everything. After hearing Joel speak about the true nature of I am, he realized he'd been claiming lack and failure as his identity. He'd been saying, "I am broke," instead of recognizing that the I of his being is infinite supply. This insight led to a complete shift in his daily practice. Every morning, before looking at numbers or emails, he'd sit quietly and recognize, "I am is the abundance of God. I am is infinite resource. I am is divine intelligence expressing." This wasn't wishful thinking or positive affirmation. It was recognition of what is eternally true about the I that he was. The journey of transformation wasn't instantaneous. It took 4 months, not 4 days. But slowly, imperceptibly at first, ideas began to come. Connections appeared. Opportunities opened that had been invisible before. His business didn't just survive, it transformed into something more aligned with his true purpose. What's remarkable about Robert's story is that the change didn't happen in his circumstances first. It happened in his consciousness. When he stopped identifying with lack, abundance had space to flow through him naturally. This wasn't manipulation or manifesting. It was allowing his true nature to express without the obstruction of false identity. The power of this approach extends even to our relationships with others. Joel worked with a mother whose son was addicted to drugs. She'd tried everything: intervention, therapy, tough love, enabling. Nothing worked. Her son kept using, kept disappearing, kept breaking her heart. She came to Joel exhausted, guilt-ridden, desperate for someone to fix her child. What Joel told her was shocking. Stop praying for your son to change. Stop seeing him as an addict. Stop identifying him with his condition. Instead, recognize the truth. Your son's real identity is I am the presence of God. That presence cannot be addicted. That presence is whole, free, and perfect right now. This mother embarked on a profound inner journey. For 6 months, she practiced seeing only the truth of her son's being, regardless of what appeared. Some days his condition seemed worse, but she held to the truth, not the appearance. She stopped mothering the addiction and started recognizing the divine nature of her son. Gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, something shifted, not in her but in him. He entered treatment on his own. He stayed. Today, years later, he's free. Not because she changed him, but because she stopped empowering the false identity. She saw through the appearance to the reality of who he truly was. These stories aren't rare exceptions. They're examples of spiritual law in action. When you stop identifying with conditions and start identifying with the I am, your true nature, Reality must conform to that recognition. If any of these stories have awakened something in you, something you recognize as truth beyond intellectual understanding, type "I feel the shift" in the comments. Now let's explore how to practically apply this understanding in our daily lives, because here's the critical insight that Joel Goldsmith emphasized repeatedly. Understanding "I am" intellectually doesn't transform your life. You must practice it consistently until it becomes your natural state of being. Joel called this essential practice practicing the presence. This isn't about setting aside special meditation times, though those are valuable. It's about bringing this awareness into the smallest, most ordinary moments of your day. The transformation happens in these seemingly insignificant instances where you shift from personal identity to "I am" consciousness. When you wake up in the morning, before your mind fills with problems and tasks, recognize "I am awake." Not a limited person waking to face another difficult day, but infinite consciousness expressing as this experience right now. Feel the profound difference in that recognition. When you eat, recognize "I am sustained by infinite substance." When you work, recognize "I am" is the intelligence accomplishing this task. This isn't affirmation. Affirmations try to make something true from a sense of lack. This is recognition of what already is true. The difference is profound. One struggles, the other rests. One seeks, the other realizes. One comes from emptiness trying to be filled, the other comes from fullness expressing naturally. Over time, this practice creates new neural pathways, a new default way of experiencing yourself and the world. The breakthrough moment comes when you no longer have to remind yourself of this truth. It becomes your natural perspective, your baseline awareness from which you view all of life. Joel also taught a powerful technique specifically designed for moments of crisis or intense challenge. He called it the pause, and its simplicity belies its transformative potential. When fear grips you, when pain overwhelms you, when circumstances seem impossible, pause everything. Don't react. Don't try to solve. Don't panic. Just pause and return to the "I am." This simple act interrupts the false identity and creates space for truth to emerge. In the pause, you ask, "What is the truth of my being right now?" Not what appears, but what is eternally true. And the truth is always the same. "I am" is the presence of God, untouched by any condition. "I am" is whole. "I am" is supplied. "I am" is safe. A woman in Joel's classes used this technique during a serious medical crisis. Her doctor found a mass and scheduled immediate surgery. Terror consumed her, but she remembered the pause. Every time fear arose, she stopped. She didn't deny the situation or fight the fear. She simply returned to truth. "I am" is perfect life. "I am" cannot be threatened. By the time of her pre-surgery scan, the mass had completely vanished. The doctors were baffled, but from the perspective of "I am" consciousness, this wasn't miraculous. It was simply the natural expression of truth when false identification is removed. These practices aren't complicated, but they require a fundamental shift in perspective, from seeing yourself as a person with problems to recognizing yourself as the "I am" experiencing temporary conditions. The journey requires dedication and persistence, but the rewards are beyond what most can imagine. If you've experienced moments where you've instinctively paused and returned to your center during a crisis, type "I know the power of the pause" in the comments below. Now, let's explore what happens when we apply this understanding to our relationships with others and ourselves. One of the most profound revelations in Joel Goldsmith's teaching is about judgment and how it keeps us trapped in false identity. Every time you judge yourself or others, You're operating from personal sense, not from I am consciousness. This insight completely transforms how we relate to ourselves and the world around us. The I am doesn't judge because it recognizes only itself in all expressions of life. When you truly understand this, you begin to see that the person who seems to be causing you harm, disappointing you, or challenging you is not your enemy. They are the infinite I am who has temporarily forgotten their true identity. They're operating from personal sense rather than spiritual awareness. When someone wrongs you, the human reaction is anger, hurt, judgment, all perfectly natural responses from the perspective of personal identity. But from I am consciousness, you recognize that this person's true identity is also I am, the presence of God, just as yours is. They've simply forgotten who they are, just as we all forget at times. This doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior or staying in unhealthy situations. Boundaries remain important, but it does mean that your response comes from a place of recognition rather than reaction. You're able to address what's happening without getting caught in the trap of judgment that ultimately perpetuates suffering on both sides. The wisdom here is to begin this practice with yourself. When you fail, when you make mistakes, when you fall short of your ideals, notice the immediate tendency towards self-judgment. That judgment is personal sense attacking personal sense. It's the false self criticizing the false self, which only strengthens the illusion of separation. Instead, return to the truth. The I that you are never failed, because the I am is perfect. The mistake happened in the realm of personal identity, not in your true nature. This mindset shift creates an internal environment of grace that naturally extends to others. Your freedom from self-judgment becomes the foundation for releasing judgment of others. This is the authentic journey toward genuine compassion, not forced or pretended, but arising naturally from recognizing the same I am in all. Now let's explore another revolutionary insight from Joel's teaching that transforms our entire relationship with money and supply. We've been conditioned to believe that supply comes from jobs, people, investments, sources outside ourselves. This creates persistent undercurrents of fear. What if the source dries up? What if you lose your job? What if the economy crashes? But when you understand that I am is infinite supply, you realize the source is never outside you. Your employer isn't your source. Your clients aren't your source. Your investments aren't your source. I am is your source, and that source is infinite, never-ending, always flowing, eternally abundant. This doesn't mean quitting your job or ignoring practical matters. The channels through which supply flows may change. One job may end and another begin. One stream of income may diminish, while three others open. But the source, the I am, never diminishes, never fails, never runs out. Living from this understanding creates a profound inner security that no external circumstance can shake. When you pay bills, recognize I am is infinite supply, making itself visible. When you work, recognize I am is the substance of abundance. This consciousness naturally attracts supply through unexpected channels, synchronistic opportunities, and pathways you could never have planned or manipulated into being. If you've experienced unexpected abundance flowing into your life after releasing fear around money, type "I trust infinite supply" in the comments. Now let's explore the challenges that arise when we begin to live from this revolutionary consciousness. Let me be transparent with you. Living from I am consciousness isn't always easy, especially at the beginning of this journey. Let's explore the very real challenges that arise when we begin to embrace this radical shift in identity. The first challenge many encounter is when nothing seems to change immediately in your outer circumstances. You practice recognizing I am consciousness. You diligently return to truth, but your financial situation remains difficult, your health challenge persists, or your relationship issues continue. In these moments, your mind screams, "This doesn't work. You're fooling yourself. You need to take practical action." This is completely normal. It's part of the purification process as your consciousness shifts. Joel's guidance here was simple yet profound. Spiritual realization works in consciousness first, not in conditions. Sometimes the inner shift happens quickly and outer change follows immediately. But often, the inner work takes weeks or months of consistent practice before you see evidence in your external reality. Your task isn't to make things happen through force or manipulation. Your task is to know the truth and remain faithful to it regardless of appearances. Behind the scenes of every spiritual transformation is this hidden reality. The seed doesn't become a tree overnight. The invisible work happens first. Roots grow deep before the shoot appears above ground. Your consistent practice is the root work. Trust that something is happening even when you see no evidence. Another significant challenge emerges in your relationships with others. When you start living from I am consciousness, you become different. You stop participating in fear-based conversations. You stop agreeing that circumstances are terrible and hopeless. This can create tension with people who are accustomed to connecting through shared complaints and problems. Some may think you're in denial or that you've become detached. Others might actively try to pull you back into agreement with limitation. This is where your commitment to truth is tested. You cannot live in two worlds. You cannot claim I am is infinite abundance in meditation and then spend your day agreeing with everyone that times are hard and money is scarce. You must choose the comfort of agreement or the integrity of consciousness. Impatience presents another common obstacle. The human part of us wants transformation now. We want healing today. We want abundance this week. But consciousness unfolds at its own pace, according to a divine timeline that often doesn't match our preferences. Learning to trust this process is part of the journey itself, a lesson in surrendering personal will to infinite wisdom. The temptation to mix practices can also create confusion in consciousness. When results don't appear quickly enough, you might be tempted to add visualization techniques, then affirmations, then manifestation rituals, mixing truth with methods that operate from lack. This creates a divided mind that cancels both approaches. Either I am is your sufficiency or it isn't. Either God is the substance of your being or you need to manipulate conditions. Commit to one path completely. If you've faced any of these challenges in your own spiritual practice, type "I'm committed to truth" in the comments. Now let's explore what happens when we move through these challenges to experience the ultimate integration of I am consciousness in our everyday experience. What we've explored today is truly just the beginning of an extraordinary journey into the consciousness that Jesus demonstrated and Joel Goldsmith illuminated for our time. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to know that this teaching has the potential to completely transform your experience of life, not by changing circumstances, but by revealing your true identity as the I am expressing uniquely as you. This isn't theoretical philosophy, it's practical spiritual wisdom that dissolves problems at their source. If what we've discussed today has resonated with you on a deeper level than just intellectual understanding, I'd love to hear from you. Type "I am awakening now" in the comments below to let me know this message found the right moment to reach you. Many of you have experienced glimpses of this truth throughout your life, moments when the personal sense fell away and you recognized something infinite expressing through you. These weren't anomalies. They were previews of your true nature, breaking through the clouds of false identity. If you found value in today's exploration, please consider subscribing to join our community of spiritual seekers. Each week, we dive deep into these transformative teachings that go beyond surface spirituality to the heart of what Jesus and the mystics throughout history have discovered. And if this video has illuminated something within you, a simple like helps others find this message who may be searching for exactly this understanding at exactly this moment in their journey. Right here is another video that explores how to apply these principles specifically to healing physical conditions. Click and continue this. Journey with me there as we explore the practical application of I am consciousness in dissolving the root causes of disease and limitation. Remember, you are not becoming something new. You are recognizing what has always been true. You are the I am, the infinite presence, expressing uniquely as you.